It's not rocket science.
Not rocket science. Not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
Welcome to Not Rocket Science. In this episode, we'll be learning from visual and practical effects artist Daniele Auber, all about visual and practical effects. Where's Anthony?
He's in the bathroom. He said, "Go ahead and start."
Okay. Like I was saying, Daniele Auber is here, who helped create the troll in the bathroom in Harry Potter. Troll. That's so cool. I wish I could see a troll.
Your wish is granted.
What?
Wash, 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 wash. Troll!
Geez, someone's been taking a while. I guess someone ate too much bread. You know, because of the... I don't know, yeah. Are you okay? What's going on here?
Sorry,
he's back. He's
were we,
acting very strange.
Each episode,
Are you all right?
Matty and Anthony will learn something new from
on?
a professional.
Is that a troll? There's a troll here sharpening a pencil.
Matty,
And he said, "Are you okay?
Matty, do something.
What should I do?"
Matty, do something.
Oh, I have an idea.
Matty.
I have this pencil, like a wand in Harry Potter.
Troll. Ligorium frizoso.
The troll is frozen.
Yeah, so each episode, there's a professional we learn from. Firefighter.
Ligorium dorkler.
Cook. A clown. You learn from a clown. Clown. So it's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science.
Well, that was weird. You okay? Well, awesome. Like I said, third time's the charm. We'll be learning from Daniele Auber all about visual and practical effects because he's the best. It's going to be a blast. I'm excited to learn because learning is what, Anthony? Not rocket
necessary.
Close. All right. Awesome. Welcome. Well, we have our guest here, Daniele Auber. He's an Italian stallion like me. I'm Italian. He's a very talented visual and practical effects artist, as well as a concept artist and storyboard artist on many films, such as Harry Potter, This Is the End, Brothers Grimm, Mirror, Mirror, The Imaginarium of Doctor Parnassus, Now You See Me, and Dr. Awkward, a film that I got to act in, which he directed and wrote. He's a thoughtful, kind, amazing, talented man. Here he is, Daniele Auber. Yeah.
I did a little Rocky because you're Italian, you guys.
Thanks for being here, Daniele. First off, how you doing, man? What's going on? I haven't seen you in a while.
Very good, yes.
You
I haven't
good?
seen you since before COVID.
I know.
Yeah, the hair grow and life keeps going and it's quite beautiful. So
That's got to be on a bumper sticker.
yeah.
Right? What did you think of the troll? Were the effects good or could they use some work? I want you to be honest.
Well,
If we could use some work on that.
if you have a good script and you have a good actor, the effects really you don't need to see them because the reality is there. So I would redo the ears maybe.
Okay. All right. The ears were made out of the bottom of a LaCroix box.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay,
I cut
well,
ears
that's a
into a
good
LaCroix
technique.
box. So you kind of use what you got, right, Anthony?
Hey, you got LaCroix, you use it.
You do visual effects and practical effects. For the listeners, what is that exactly? How would you describe it to Anthony?
Well,
Like a child. Explain it to like a child.
practical
Please.
effects. Practical effects was what we used to do all the time before we had computer effects, right? Before we had computers, it was only practical. So that's when I started my career back in Italy, and we didn't have computers yet. So if you had to make a troll, you would sculpt a big sculpture, then make an animatronic out of it, and you would control it with radio mechanisms and levels and stuff. And those were the effects in those days. But then sometimes in the 90s, slowly the computer, the VFX came in, and then they took over, maybe too much at one point. So now in the history of movie making, we reached a point where really the best results, you achieve them by mixing practical and visual effects. So you do practically as much as possible on set for the actors to enjoy and to act with. And then with the visual effects, you kind of retouch and refine or add stuff. But you have a tangible visual starting point, and that helps because when the audience watches this mix of effects, it perceives a level of reality, and therefore believes more what they see and believe the story, which is the most important thing.
That's so cool. So kind of like you use the computer to kind of I don't know, like you help enhance the practical effects. I'm just trying to walk through it in my mind here, but that's kind of the sensibilities. You mix them together in a way.
Yes,
Yeah.
because if you shoot something practically on set, on location, then the visual effects who are going to work in post-production, they will have something to start with. They will see where the light... For example, I will make you an example. In a movie I've done lately, there was this creature that was supposed to be a big statue face with tentacles, and so the tentacles were too complicated to create in reality with practical effects. So we built the face. It was maneuvered by puppeteers and stuff, so that was real on set. Everyone could see it, the actors could interact with it, so also it's helpful for the whole scene. And then in post-production, all you do, you add, I mean, sounds easy, but it's very complicated. Then you add the tentacles and all those elements that... but then you can use the light and shadows, and you can reference to what you shot practically. And this is very, very helpful for the final result.
That's amazing. So, for example, like the troll in Harry Potter, the troll in the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter, you helped design the troll in the bathroom, correct? You kind of helped.
No, I didn't.
Practically.
I didn't design it. I helped building the animatronic.
Right.
So in those days, this must be 2001, I think.
Yes.
Very early 2000 for the first movie, Harry Potter. So at the moment, I wasn't focused on designing yet. I did that afterwards. So I was working.
But you help create.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the job of a model maker. You sculpt, you make molds, you attach the hair on the troll's legs, you paint the skin, you put together the pieces, and then you have the animatronic. So that's what we built. It was 5 meters tall, this creature.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
how tall is that in feet?
Oh.
Like 10 feet or something, or
don't
like
ask
taller
me.
than me.
I cannot count.
Anthony?
Count. I don't know numbers.
Can you count? The producer's going to look it up.
Excellent.
Yeah, get back to us. Thank you.
So
Chris.
we built it, and then the visual effects team scanned the animatronic with a big scanning machine. And in some shots, you will see the actual animatronics. animatronic. But then when the troll is walking in the corridors, that is the visual effects version that's being scanned from the practical one.
Wow.
So that was a collaboration between the two.
Oh, I think we know how. 16 feet.
Voila.
Whoa. That's very tall. That's
Taller
very
than
tall.
you.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things for the troll itself? Like, I saw a photo of you. We'll put it up on the screen. It looks like you're maybe painting or putting something. So, what were you doing in that
probably
photo?
painting. Well, first, we attached. So we were a team of maybe, I don't know, 3 or 5 people. I don't remember exactly. So after, basically these are the stages for that troll in particular, but for many animatronics. First, someone designs the creature, then you make a maquette, which is a small sculpture, to see how it looks and to be approved by the director and everyone, and then you start building the full size 15 feet or 15 foot.
16.
16
Yeah.
feet.
Yeah. 5 meters.
5 meter statue, probably made with clay. And after the statue looks amazing, you start making molds. So that
Out of like clay or?
no, resin usually. Well, maybe there would be a layer of silicone. It's so complicated.
Wow.
A layer of silicone, and then on top of the silicone, you create these sort of boxes of resin and fiberglass, like surfing materials.
Yeah.
And which will be kept together by bolts, and then inside that negative mold, then you're going to create the positive, which will be the actual skin of the troll.
And what's that made out of, the skin?
In this case, it was silicone.
Oh, wow.
But it can be, it was silicone. So probably the negative mold was resin, and silicone is very beautiful and complex material that can be more or less flexible or hard, depending on what part of the animatronic needs to be built. For example, if for the face, you need a lot of flexibility, right? Because then inside the skin, you have all of these mechanisms that will be radio controlled and or computerized, because you can actually program the movement of the lips, for example, the lip syncing.
Whoa.
For example, you could have, first of all, you could have the actors saying the lines,
Yeah.
and then you program the lip movement of the creature moving exactly like the lines that the actor performed. So
Whoa.
that would be, and you can repeat it as many times as you want. This was the technology at the time at the Jim Henson's creature shop in London. That's where we made this. And it was amazing to look at this stuff, all these engineers creating this. My capabilities would never go that far. I used to make animatronics, especially back in Italy, but they were very simple. When I saw this kind of engineering solutions, was mesmerizing.
Wow. That's amazing.
So that's what
so
what the
cool.
troll was doing. And then once you have the skin and everything, then you paint it. I think in the picture you saw we were painting the surface of the skin. And then someone will also add hair if the troll has hair, which is one by one, very, very meticulously. Wow. Someone makes the eyes. There's so much going on.
What was that like? I mean, being able to make that troll, like, how did it feel? What was it?
Well, it's kind of mesmerizing. It's so surprising when you see it moving. Also, I think there's something magical happening when you are puppeteering something. When you're puppeteering, also with radio controls or whatever it is, if you, for example, puppeteer the face of a creature with all your mechanisms or levers, whatever it is, there's an interesting connection between your brain and the creature, it kind of becomes your avatar. You're connected subconsciously. And so you start making those faces with your own face as you move the creature, as you look at the creature making the faces. And there's something mystical there that makes you questions about consciousness and reality and being humans and what are we and AI, etc.
Wow. No AI taking over actors, though.
No,
Yes,
jamais.
That's incredible. That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. And also, you've worked on so many films. You worked on Now You See Me,
Yes.
which was amazing. And can you kind of describe your experience on that? Now You See Me with Jesse Eisenberg. It's all about magic. What did you do on that film? What you helped create, and also you worked on This Is the End. And I remember you saying this is kind of a two-part question, but you helped create the monsters or the guys that take over the world. So can you kind of describe what you did and your experience?
Yes, in both of these movies, I worked in the visual effects department. So it was mainly post-production. Maybe there's been some reshooting, I don't remember. But yeah, the film was already shot, and we were designing the visual effects. So that's computer graphics. And so I was hired by my friend Nick Brooks, which is an amazing...
Shout out to Nick.
Yeah, amazing visual effects supervisor. And we made concept designs and boards. There's something that I like to do, and it's very interesting. I call it... concept boards. Basically, you design a whole sequence, but in detail. So you make a lot of concept design. Usually, a storyboard would be making quick sketches, right, to plan the shots and everything. But especially for visual effects, when those kind of things are involved, you do need details. You need to know what you're going to design afterwards. So you do actually make a sequence storyboard, but it's elaborate. So that's what we made mainly. And
On Now You See Me?
on Now You See Me,
Yeah.
yeah. For example, I remember towards the end of the movie, there was a big sequence in New York, an amazing building decorated with a lot of graffitis and
I
stuff.
remember that, yeah.
And so we designed many versions of that sequence. Now I don't remember what the latest version was, the one that made it into the final cut. But all those graffitis at one point, they were animated and moving around, and yeah, there was a lot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Kind of like in the mist, kind of like
Yeah,
moving.
the graffitis were brought back to life, and they were moving around the building, entering like ghosts and shape neon,
Whoa.
live neon shapes.
That's so cool. So you kind of like create magic in film, like kind of in a way you create the magic that you bring it even more to life, which I think is very cool.
Yes, we are always, as actors are, as everyone making a movie is, we are at the service of the script. So
Yeah.
if we have a good script, and we usually do, once a movie has a green light, usually there's a solid, good script that you can trust, and there's been many drafts, and so we can trust it. So all we do is read the script and imagine. It has to be coherent, but the important thing is to bring up the real emotions in that very sequence, and because that's just a small tassel in the whole story, in the whole mosaic of the script, and we need to diligently, measure what we're doing. So we can bring the magic, but it has to be perfectly coherent with what happened before and after. But yes,
That's amazing.
it's nice to go wild with imagination. it's a good thing to do. It's fun.
And this is the end. You help create the monsters in that, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. What was that like?
Oh, it was great. I remember, doing a lot of drawings, preparing for that movie, reading the script and imagining wildly whatever came up to my mind. And then, because sometimes that's what happens, right? You can have directors and movies, which is the ideal situation. And this happens especially with older directors and very experienced directors. They let you show off, like, show me what you have, and you obviously want to do the best you can.
Yeah.
And this is a great way for you to have fun and to feel free, and for the director to get the best you can give. So that was the situation. And then I remember having a great meeting with the director, Seth Rogen, and it was quite hilarious.
Why?
Well, I think when you watch his movies and when you watch his interviews, you can imagine a kind of person that's fun to hang out with. But then when you meet him in person, it is actually like that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, fun meetings, lot of laughs. Also, I actually was very naughty in my drawings, because especially in the beginning of that movie, when we first started working on it, it wasn't This Is the End, it was called Apocalypse, I think, the title, the working title. And it was very specifically referring to to the Bible and some parts of the Bible that were written a long time ago. But if we read them now, when the Bible talks about the devil and how the devil looks and what it's doing, for nowadays imagination, it's actually very funny. Like when we watch paintings of devils from the Middle Ages, for example, which is only a few hundred years ago, those images were supposed to be extremely scary for those days. But if you look at them now, they're really, really funny, because we developed a whole different imagery regarding what's scary or what is not. And so the Bible, when it talks about the devil, I think, no disrespect, it's very funny.
What does it look like? What was the devil? What did the devil look like back in those days? Like
for example,
like a bunny rabbit?
No, he had 7 heads, seven heads, and and that was interesting to figure out as a design, because we wanted to work visually. If you make a creature with 7 heads, and I went through many different sketches, it's kind of distracting. You don't know who to look at. If you have 7 heads, it feels like there is no heads at all, and this creature has no identity. So I had to focus on one central head, so you can feel that there's an individual there, and then another 6 smaller heads, just to be correct, but make it credible.
That's awesome. So what were some of the creatures that you helped draw up or sketch up for This Is the End? Like,
oh, there were several devils, I think, and minor devils.
Can we share those on the screen?
Absolutely.
Okay,
some of them are
so here they are.
Naughty.
Oh, a bit naughty.
And
okay,
they didn't
cool.
make it.
We'll blur them out.
They didn't make it in the movie. Oh, yeah. Blurred is fun. But yeah, exactly. So in the beginning, because of the director, which is kind of non-conformist, mischievous kind of character, I went wild with my drawings. Nowadays we have to be so careful with what we show to families and stuff.
Right.
I couldn't care less about that because at that stage,
he's a wild man.
Yeah, at that stage it was just fun, and then you slowly refine, and then it becomes less and less naughty.
That's awesome. That's cool.
And now a word from our sponsor.
And now, back to our show.
You okay? You still shooken up by the troll
Feeling great.
over there? Do you have a question?
How you doing?
I was thirsty a few seconds ago. Now I'm fine, thank you.
Well, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. Yeah, that's my question of the day. How you doing? No, how often do you practice drawing or practice your craft per? Do you do it daily? How often do you do that?
Well, I'm forced to do it daily.
Yeah.
Sometimes for too many hours a day. I worked on a movie recently, and which would be amazing. And I'm so happy I worked so hard. But at one point, it was too much. You know, sometimes you have big sequences to figure out. And as humans, our anatomy, we are not designed to design for 10 hours a day, sitting on a desk doing this movement. So at one point, I just collapsed with a backache. I said, okay.
I'm so sorry.
But no, that's all right. That's all right. I had a holiday and then everything was fine. And so I could start again. So, yeah, I draw all the time. Sometimes I like to change the media because it's beautiful to draw on a digital tablet. It's really fantastic. It's nothing less than painting with oil, for example. It's actually even more because there's something mesmerizing about painting with light. Because when you use pixels instead of oil and acrylic or whatever it is, when you use pixels and you draw on a screen, you don't only paint with light, which is amazing, but also you're very close to the media of projected movies, right? That's light as well. So it's a very compatible media. When I paint a scene, when I paint a shot on my big screen, it's already a preview of the movie.
Wow.
So, but yeah, drawing all the time. So much that when I don't work, I really don't want to draw.
Sure.
I go for a hike, a bicycle, but yeah, enough drawing.
Yeah.
When
I
you
hear
were a kid, when did you start, or did you start drawing as a child, or how old were you when you started drawing?
Yeah, as long as I can remember, because my dad was really good in painting and sculpting and doing all that. So I was really fascinated by that, and I would emulate what he was doing since I was very, very small. Yeah, that's a media that always got me curious.
And what was the spark? Was that kind of the spark that led you down this path of a career? But what was the thing that was like, I want to be a visual effects practical artist? Was there kind of a tipping point for you that kind of set you off on this path, or how did that happen?
It was probably the example of beautiful work made in the early 80s, especially by, there was this special effects maker. His name was Carlo Rambaldi, and he was an Italian in California, and he was my hero. He was the guy that designed and created some of the iconic creatures from the 80s, E.T. and Alien and King Kong from the 70s.
Wow.
The aliens in Close Encounters, all of that amazing moment in movie history. Carlo Rambaldi was a hero. So because that art comes from painting and sculpting and engineering and all that, I think I was influenced a lot by that. and
That's
also
awesome.
by my father. And also I saw a UFO.
Whoa.
That's really cool.
All right, aliens are real.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's scientific now. There's no stigmatization anymore, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I saw one when I was 11, and with my dad and my brother. So fortunately, with witnesses, it wasn't a personal hallucination. And but I think that event really kind of, moved my standard of perception of reality somewhere where it wasn't before, and I think it was an ingredient that pushed me into doing strange things.
Can you describe what you saw?
Oh yeah, it was. So we were in the Alps, in beautiful summer night, and full of stars. We were looking at the stars. There were no lights. We were away from every city, and it was a sphere in the sky. It was an orange sphere that moved around the sky very quickly with really sharp angles. And it was nothing natural and nothing artificial, because nothing moves that way, especially in 1980. And so I was very scared and very impressed. And it's a mystery. We don't know what it was. But yeah, mystery
Very
is cool.
Very cool.
Awesome. That's so cool. You've had such an amazing career. And what's kind of like your highlight of people that you've worked with, that you've loved working with, or that really stuck with you?
Okay. Terry Gilliam for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
He's been an incredible mentor, because when I met him, which was the early 2000s for his movie Brothers Grimm, I just met Nicola Pecorini, which is Terry Gilliam's cinematographer, and so thanks to Nicola, I was introduced to Terry. I could show him my work, and we started visualizing Brothers Grimm. But just witnessing his creative process and working so closely to such a incredible mind and good heart. Terry Gilliam has this reputation to be like a hothead. Maybe people think he's eccentric and crazy. He's a
wild man like you.
That's his reputation, but really is an incredible, lovely, great heart, and yes, with the most fantastic creative mind. So just trying to absorb his powers while working with him and seeing how he put together a big movie. And yes, he's famous for fighting against the evil forces of Hollywood. The producer of Brothers Grimm was Harvey Weinstein.
Oh gosh.
So you have sometimes to be coherent with your ethics and morality, and sometimes if you're not compromising like Terry is, you fight.
Right.
So I'm not as brave as he is. I don't know if I could handle the stress of dealing with big forces, but I admire him a lot. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And
That's so cool you get to work
Nicola
with him.
Pecorini is definitely another big influence in my mind. He's been like a big brother all through, in Big Brother in a good way, not in the Orwell way. All through my career, a great example and good advice always.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
It's great to be able to meet somebody that you looked up to so much too when you were kind of coming up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you hope. And,
it's so nice.
Yeah, it's good to have good examples.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I know I don't like playing favorites, but with my work, but I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite piece of art that you've made in films? Like what's something that really stood out to you Do you have a favorite or something like memorable, a creature or, yeah.
Yeah, I have several. Strangely, sometimes your favorite things are not necessarily the best ones, but you have some kind of affection for them.
Yeah.
Sometimes are good as well. There's one creature in a movie that came out weeks ago. It's called Wonderwell. Oh yeah, it's the creature I mentioned earlier with the tentacles.
Oh, cool.
So I like that because the director asked me to come up with the creature that represents Mother Nature and the planet. So that was a big task. So I looked into my background in Italy, my artistic background in the Mediterranean area. So I was trying to find an image that feels timeless and eternal. What's the word? Eternal.
One of those.
Yeah, something that felt human but supernatural and with no gender.
It's crazy. You're like describing me and just, this is all me. Was it me? Is that who? I was your inspiration?
No way. I haven't finished. No gender, no ethnicity. So many levels of being absolute. Yeah, maybe it is you. An amazing tentacle in the hair. And so then in the end, I really love the result. It does feel kind of timeless. If you saw this creature on an ancient Greek painting or sculpture, you think, yeah, it could belong to the past.
That's really cool.
Does it kind of look like Medusa a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a bit like Medusa or like the sun symbol because of these
Yeah.
rays, tentacles. It's a face with rays, basically. But then what makes it really attractive is, okay, it also depends who you collaborate with. So after I designed it, the person who sculpted this huge, how many meters? 3 meters tall
Look it up, Chris.
statue. This was sculpted by maybe the diamond, the best sculpture in Italy, in Cinecittà, which is Francesca Romana Di Nunzio. And she just made a piece of art. She has an academic background as an artist. And you look at this face, this sculpture, it's mesmerizing. It's so powerful because it's hiding the beauty, a knowledge that's thousands of years old. I don't know. There's something very ancient there.
That's so cool. So I wanted to, and this is an educational podcast, and people that want to go into the career of being a visual effects and practical artist. What would you say the range in terms of how much they would make in a year, like between, I don't know, 40K and 150K, or is there a range for people like that are just getting out of college? Like, what is the range for visual effects artists?
I'm so sorry, but I'm the wrongest person to ask. I have no idea.
Google. They can Google it.
Yeah,
It's easy to Google.
I'm
All right,
so
people can
bad.
Google.
You
No,
know,
it's fine.
I'm so bad with anything related to that field. Fortunately, I have a good accountant, which is I don't even call it an accountant. I call it psychountant because I need a psychologist when I talk to the accountant.
Right.
Because I have just a massive black hole in my brain, everything related to bureaucracy. So no, ask me artistic things, please.
Okay.
I actually do have an artistic question for you. How often does do you start a project and that project stays the same, so it doesn't like morph into something different? Like, so how often do you start a project, this is what I'm going to design, and then it stays the same? Does it ever happen that way, or does it always morph?
I think it always morphs on some levels,
Sure.
but sometimes it morphs. This is a very cool question. It morphs to really unpredictable ways.
Yeah.
many movies, and the bigger the budget, the more they have the freedom and the privilege to reshoot. So they do principal photography. They show everything, and then they do test screenings. And the test screenings find out, I mean, this is not necessarily a good thing, right? But these days, it's a sign of the times. The audience dictates what a movie is going to be. I'm talking about the big entities, streaming entities. They often do this. They do a test screening, and then the audience will say, I don't like that part, I don't like the end, I don't like this, I don't like that. And then so the writers rewrite, and then more reshooting. So by reshooting, you also end up changing everything, also the visual effects, right?
Wow.
So yeah, so this is a good thing, and it's part of the nature of movie making that, yes, we have the script, we like it, this is the heart of the story, and we know that we need to keep this nature up to the end because it's effective. But then, as you make the movie, as you go through the process, as you translate the words into images, the images into action, the action into post-production, etc., it is also a process of improvement and refining. And so it beautifully morphs, supposedly. And very often it is for the best, yes.
Wow.
I mean, unless the audience... I mean, I don't agree with that way of movie making. I can understand that it brings money in the short terms to the big streaming entities, but from an artistic point of view, I think it's very unhealthy to have the audience dictate what films should do, because movie making has a profound mystical duty, which is the duty of art, and the artists and the authors and the directors, they know more than the audience what the audience wants. The audience doesn't know what it needs. They know what they want, but the artist has a different kind of knowledge about the subconscious, the collective subconscious, so they can see the future in a way. So they can give the audience what they are going to like, and they don't know it yet. So this process of using the audience as a dictator, I think in medium terms, in a few years, it will bring to a collapse of this way of doing things, because people will be bored. They will see things that are regurgitated to them.
Yeah.
They won't be surprised
Well, you
anymore.
need your Michelangelos to do the art. You don't need the whole community to tell Michelangelo or any artist.
Great insight.
Or Banksy, whoever. A lot of people are like, oh, you should do this, this, and this, and this.
Right.
Because it's too much filler, and then that takes away from the mind. That's what I agree with you. That sounds like it makes so much sense. The artist should be the person creating.
That's awesome. So, thank you so much for being here. What advice would you give an artist just starting out, visual effects, practical artists? What advice would you give them to starting a career?
I would suggest to develop. We need to develop our sense of wonder when we look at things, when we contemplate nature, when we walk around. We need to observe reality and be mesmerized by it, and this will translate in what we do, whatever the media is, visual effects, practical effects, painting, sculpting, whenever it's about materializing an idea, it's successful when we are when we have a good sense of wonder.
That's amazing. I love that. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. It's really been amazing to get to talk with you. Where can people find you? Like, where on the internet would you like them
Well,
to?
I do. I try. I swear, I try on Instagram. That's. I'm attempting to make a little portfolio on my Instagram account.
Oh, cool.
Not everything is there, but you can have glimpse of what I'm doing.
Oh, cool.
That's
And
cool.
what's the at? It's at your name or?
It's Auberd. Auberd.
Nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, it's been such an amazing pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time.
Thank you so
You're
much.
the best. Blast off. That's my catchphrase here.
I see you
yeah.
on the screen.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'll see you in
Thank
the
you,
clouds.
Daniele. Well, as Daniele would say, that was memorizing. He was so fun to talk to, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a really cool, interesting guy for sure. Liked
Yeah.
him. Very nice guy. Very kind.
And how are you feeling about the troll situation? Are you still shooken up, or has it lasted with you? Are you feeling good, or?
It'll probably last for a while with me. I'm sure it's not going to go. There's a troll staring at me while I was in the bathroom. Who knows what the heck was going on with that guy? It was creepy.
What? Yeah, that was pretty wild. Yeah, but you feel good about it. Like you're not gonna have.
Oh no, I don't. I feel terrible about it.
Oh.
I don't. I'm going to have nightmares. There was a troll staring at me. So yeah, it's never good. I've never had it happen. It really shook me to a crazy level.
Well, should we go check on it? Do you want to go? Just
Sure. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I've survived it, so might as well see what else it entails with the troll man.
okay. Let's go check on the troll.
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay, you hit him on the head as I open the door. Okay. There's a note.
Fun podcast.
Well, I'm going to try my best troll accent or my troll voice to do this outro part. Let's see if I can do it.
Yeah, you can
all right,
do it,
let me see. We ask audience to please send in voice memo app questions with questions for Matty and Anthony to play in for our next show to Not Rocket Science Pod at gmail.com. Maybe that was all right.
Yeah, okay, I'll read some too. I'll try. This is my best troll voice. Okay. Please friends like and subscribe. Please come on.
Well, at least that was understandable. They can understand that. That's good.
And let us know what you think of the show. Keep learning, because after all, learning's not rocket
Important.
science. All right, blast off.
It's not rocket science.
Not rocket science. Science. Not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science.